The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer breakdown video. Like I said in my last video, I want to take another look at the trailer because I knew there would be some things that I missed. Not only that, but I know a lot of you did want to talk about it again. Now, before we get started, I do want to mention the sponsor of today's video. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a domain, a website, or even an online store, I would highly recommend that you check out Squarespace. You can find their link in my description. Now let's take a look at some of the scenes from the new Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer. The first thing I want to talk about again is the opening scene from the trailer. This is where we see a close-up of Arya Stark. What I really find interesting about this is we hardly ever see Arya Stark in that physical state. Arya looks terrified, she has blood all over her face, and she is frantically running away from someone or something. The main question everyone keeps asking me is, why is Arya running like that in the trailer? What the hell could be chasing her? Now, I did notice there are a lot of fans debating about the location of the scene. Some say she's at Winterfell, and some say she's at King's Landing. I happen to believe this is at Winterfell during the big battle in episode 3. That's why Arya looks the way she looks. Arya has suffered some injuries during that attack. They have been fighting all night, and the Night King's army will eventually overrun the castle walls. There is some more evidence of this happening in some of the later scenes from the trailer. Now, the fact that we see Arya getting chased inside of her own house means that the Starks are on the verge of losing their castle. If you take a look at the weapon Arya has in her hand, then you can guess who might be chasing her. Arya is holding a dragonglass dagger. You can see that she still has her valyrian steel dagger tucked away. I think if Arya was fighting another living character, then she would have no reason to use the dragonglass. She would use one of her own weapons. That leads me to believe that Arya is getting chased by whites, or maybe even a White Walker. Now let's take a look at some of the other images because we may be able to see what is chasing her. In one of these photos you can see what appears to be two different men chasing Arya through the castle. Those men chasing Arya are most likely whites from the Night King's army. They do not have the long hair like the White Walkers. Now I know some fans have said that Arya might actually know who these whites are, as in the Night King might have resurrected the Stark dead. I think it's safe to say that anything is possible, but I do not think Arya is getting chased by Ned Stark or even Catelyn Stark. We are not even entirely sure their bodies made it back to Winterfell. In the books, Catelyn's body gets thrown into the river, but they never said what happened to her body in the TV show. The last time we saw Ned Stark's bones was when Littlefinger brought them to Catelyn. No one knows where they went after that. There was no mention of Catelyn sending Ned's bones back to Winterfell. For all we know, Walder Frey could have done anything with Catelyn's body and Ned Stark's bones. I highly doubt that Walder Frey would have done the right thing with either one of them. So I don't think we will see Catelyn or Ned get resurrected by the Night King. However, there is always a chance that he does resurrect some of the other Stark dead that are down in the crypts of Winterfell. Now, I know that these images are a little blurry for any of us to make out who is exactly chasing Arya, but I can almost guarantee they are whites. At some point during the big battle at Winterfell, the Stark's castle will get overran by the Night King's army. Like I said earlier, there are some images from the trailer that show the whites are making it over the castle walls. There is a scene where we can see Brienne of Tarth fighting along the top of the battlements. At first, I thought this might have been Jaime Lannister, but some of you were right. After I looked at it again, I am confident that is Brienne. You can see that she is cutting down whites on top of the castle walls, which means the castle is coming very, very close to getting overtaken. That means the whites have already made it through several lines of defense. Now let's take a look at some of the other images because Brienne is not the only one trying to fight off the whites on top of the battlements. Do you remember the scene from the trailer where we saw Arya Stark spinning around in circles? Well, it also appears as if Arya is up there fighting the whites as well. Also, take a look at the weapon Arya has in her hands. It looks like she might be holding one of the spears from the Unsullied. Those weapons are said to have dragonglass tips on the ends of them. It also looks like Jaime Lannister might be fighting up here as well, and I'm assuming this happens after we start to see everyone running back inside of Winterfell's gates. There must come a time during this battle where they can no longer hold them off, so they will have to fall back to the castle and fight from the battlements atop the wall. We know they won't be able to hold them off forever because some of them eventually make it inside the castle where they begin to chase Arya Stark. I'm beginning to think the Starks may be the last ones to leave their castle. We already saw Varys hiding down in the crypts of Winterfell with the women and children. It even looks like Gilly and baby Sam are down there with him. Like I said in my last video, there are secret tunnels below Winterfell.
won't make it to the wall. I won't make it 10 feet past the Winterfell gates.
There are ways. Hidden passageways built so the lords of Winterfell could escape.
These secret tunnels were made that way the Starks could escape their castle if need be. Maester Luwin was telling this information to Theon Greyjoy. There is a very good chance the Starks already know how to access those tunnels. Now, Theon Greyjoy might not have known about them, but I am betting that Ned Stark would have shown these to his kids. Melisandre even mentions that to Jon Snow.
How can I help you?
Come with us when we ride south. None of us know the castle as well as you do. Its hidden tunnels, its weaknesses, its people.
Melisandre knew that Jon most likely had knowledge of Winterfell's secrets. I'm thinking that Jon told all of the non-fighters to go hide down here until the fighting was over, but if the castle would happen to fall, then they would need to use those tunnels to get out. Now I want to take a look at some of the other images. I made a video a long time ago where I tried to predict who I thought would end up using Samwell Tarly's Valyrian steel sword, Heartsbane. In my opinion, it did not make sense to have Sam use that sword, not when there would be so many great fighters in Winterfell at the same time as Sam. Imagine how much more could get done if that sword is in the right character's hands. Well, it does look like one of my predictions have already came true. Sir Jorah Mormont will be using Heartsbane during the big battle at Winterfell. You can see that he has the sword in one of the images from the trailer. As we all know, Samwell Tarly and Jorah Mormont had an immediate connection last season. Jorah Mormont's father, Jeor Mormont, was the Lord Commander at Castle Black when Samwell Tarly was there. He actually even saved Samwell Tarly's life when they were out beyond the wall. I think that was one of the motivating factors that led Sam to trying to save Jorah Mormont from Grayscale. The last time those two characters saw each other, they did shake hands and they said they hoped they would see each other again. So it does make sense for Sam to let him use Heartsbane. Now that doesn't mean Sam gave him the sword to keep forever, but he might have told him to use it during the battle. Sam knows that Jorah is a much better fighter than him. Also, I know a lot of you were asking me about the Dothraki soldiers. They were not heavily featured in the trailer, but I did notice them when I was making the video. If you look at the men riding on the white horses behind him, you can see there are at least 6 or 7 Dothraki screamers on their horses. I was actually wondering how they would hold up in the battle. These Dothraki soldiers are not used to fighting in the ice or snow. I wasn't even sure how well their horses would be able to get around, since this is the second coming of the Long Night. I was expecting there to be so much more snow, but it doesn't appear that way. The horses seem to be running around just fine. Another thing I want to mention is our old friend Grey Worm. I have made some videos before where I predicted which characters I think will live and which characters I think will die. Grey Worm has always been on my list of characters that I thought would die next season, and I think they might have even highlighted this in the trailer. For some reason, I just did not get a good feeling when they showed Grey Worm give Missandei that kiss goodbye. I am thinking that might be the last time they ever see each other, which may be why they decided to show him give her that kiss. There is something else from the trailer that I want to talk about in the video. It actually happens so fast that it is very easy to miss, but for a moment we do see a character holding a bow. I have been trying to decide who I think this could be. We know that type of weapon is used in battle scenes, but they don't often show a close-up quite like this. That leads me to believe this could be happening during a big scene, but who could it be? Which characters have we seen using that weapon in earlier seasons? The first character we have ever seen holding that weapon is Arya Stark. We see that in the opening episode of the show. Now, we all know he's not very good at using a bow and arrow, but we do see him practice over and over again during his dreams. Bran has actually dreamt about this many different times. This always led me to believe there was some significance to this. Now that we see someone holding the weapon in the trailer for the final season of the show, then maybe it could be during an important moment next season. The only thing is, it looks like the character from the trailer is standing up on their 2 feet. They could be on top of Winterfell's battlements shooting dragonglass arrows at the army of the dead, or even the Night King's dragon. Since they do appear to be standing up, then this probably isn't Bran Stark, but it could be another Stark. We know that Arya Stark knows how to use that weapon. In fact, she was the one that hit the bullseye when we first saw Bran practicing in that opening episode. Not only that, but Arya even mentioned using that weapon last season. We heard her tell a story about this when she was speaking with Sansa.
There was one arrow in the target. There was no one around, just like now. No one to stop me. So I started shooting. And every shot, I had to go up there and get my one arrow and walk back and shoot it again.
Maybe that conversation was foreshadowing something Arya would do next season. Now, just in case it's not Arya Stark, who else could it be? Who else have we seen use that weapon before? Who else have we seen use that weapon during a very big battle scene? That would be Bronn during the Battle of Blackwater Bay. Bronn was the one that shot the arrow that ignited the wildfire. Now, as we all know, we did not see him during the trailer, but maybe that is him holding the bow. I did just want to point that out because it might happen during a very big scene. There might be a reason why they did not want to show that character's face. Now let's move on to some of the new information that came out about the Night King. I did find this to be rather interesting to say the least. The actor who portrays the Night King was interviewed recently about his character and the final season. He said a few things during that interview that some of you may find interesting, and it even sounds like we may know what he wants. The first thing it says is, what does the Night King want anyway? The actor said, somebody made him the Night King. Nobody knows who he was before, a soldier or part of nobility. He never wanted to be the Night King. I think he wants revenge. Everybody in this story has two sides, a bad side and a good side. The Night King only has one side, a bad side. Now let's take a look at the next question and answer. What can we expect from him in the final season? People will see that he has a target that he wants to kill, and you will find out who that is. There's also that moment during Hardhome when Jon Snow was on the boat and the Night King looked at him and raised his arms. There's a similar and even stronger moment between Jon and the Night King this time. So after I read this, my number one question was, who the hell is the Night King's target? This could explain what he is after. For some reason I don't think it's Jon because he would not have talked about him and Jon having another stare down in the very next sentence. That would make it too obvious and that would essentially spoil it. I think it has to be someone else. Someone we know the Night King has tried to get before. I know some fans might think that it's Gilly's baby, but I don't think he wants to kill Gilly's baby. We know that he wanted those babies to become White Walkers. In the interview, he said the Night King has a target that he wants to kill. I think it has to be Bran Stark, the new Three-Eyed Raven. We already saw what the Night King did to the old Three-Eyed Raven. The Night King actually killed him himself. That was the first time we had ever seen the Night King kill someone personally. Every other time he had the Whites or the White Walkers do it, but not when it came to the Three-Eyed Raven. He wanted to take him out on his own, and I bet he wants to do the same thing to Bran Stark, the one character that could become more powerful than him. We have seen the Night King grab Bran inside of the weirwood net, but he was not able to kill Bran at that time. The fact that Bran has the ability to use the weirwood net just like the Night King and the old Three-Eyed Raven makes him a very big threat. This is more than likely one of the causes for the Night King to attack Winterfell. This is where Bran Stark is at. Now we all know that Bran knows he is coming. His uncle Benjen told him the Night King will make his way to Westeros, and when he does, Bran will be there waiting for him, and he will be ready.
One way or another, he will find his way to the world of men. When he does, you will be there waiting for him. And you will be ready.
Let me know what all of you have to say about this. Leave your thoughts down below. Before I go, I do want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. For those of you that don't know, you can use Squarespace to help build your own website. Now, I actually used to think it was very difficult to build your own website, but Squarespace makes their service very easy to use and understand. They do have an all-in-one platform that even provides 24/7 customer support. If you were thinking about creating your own website, I highly recommend that you go to squarespace.com for your first free trial. Whenever you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/talkingthrones to save 10% off your first purchase. You can find their link down below. They have also been a sponsor of my favorite podcast for quite some time, so needless to say, I was very excited when they reached out to me. Anyways, I want to thank everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate that. I also want to thank my supporters over on Patreon. I hope you all have a great day. I will see you in my next one. Bye.